All right, so on number 10, it says which coordinate below is the solution of the system of equations? All right, so both of these systems are set up in slope-intercept form, right? And y equals mx plus b. It's great that we know that, but we also have Desmos, and it doesn't really matter what form it's in. Okay, so what do I need to do to figure out which one of these? All right, type it in Desmos and, correct, see where they intersect each other. All right, so when I type in that, I'm going to type in the top one first. So y equals, how do I do a fraction again in Desmos? Correct, hit the division sign. So you can actually type in 1 and then hit division, and it creates it for you. Okay, so minus 4. All right, the other one. Yep. Plus 2. All right, so obviously, remember, I can't see both graphs, so you can click it and drag, and all I need to see is where they intersect, right? Boom, that's perfect. So the answer would be 4, negative 3, which is A. Any questions? All right, moving on to number 11. Okay, so now, this one cannot be done in Desmos. Okay, number 11 cannot. So I'm going to expand the screen so we can see a little bit better. So Paige was solving the system of equations shown by using the elimination method. Her first step was to multiply the top equation by 5. What was her second step? Okay, so if I multiply the top equation by 5, so really what this question is asking was, we got to figure out what we can do to eliminate one of the variables, x or y. We don't really know which one they're talking about yet, but we have to use these answer choices down here to kind of figure that out. All right, so if I multiply the top by 5, okay? Now, really, I don't know. That could be talking about either one of these because they both have a 5 involved here, right? Okay, so A says multiply the bottom by 2. B says multiply the bottom by 5, multiply the bottom by negative 2, and multiply the bottom by negative 5. So which variable do you think it's referring to? Correct, y. Y is the only one up here that says has 5 and 2 showing, correct? Okay, so what do we know about when a variable needs to eliminate? All right, not in this case, but sometimes you would multiply it by negative 1. What has to happen for something to eliminate? Yeah, they got to be opposites. One number has to be positive, one number has to be negative for something to cancel out. It does not matter what is what. So if I multiply the top by 5, what does that make y here? Negative 10. Okay, so if the top's negative 10, what does the bottom need to be? Positive 10. Okay, so what do you think would be the answer? Correct. Negative 2, right? I'd have to multiply the bottom by negative 2, and then that would make that a positive 10, and that would be a negative 10. So the answer is C. You did have to truly understand what it means to eliminate a variable here to be able to answer this question. Questions before we move on? All right, let's look at number 12 then. All right, so which ordered pair is a solution of the following system? All right, how should we solve this? Correct, put in Desmos, right? Wherever they intersect, that is the answer. So I'm going to get rid of these. I'm going to type in the first one. And feel free to be typing this in on your cell phones as well. All right, so they intersected right there at that point. Just move your mouse over it and it shows up. So the answer is 5, 0. A. We good? All right. Now, number 13 here. Rewrite the following formula in terms of y. What does that really mean we need to do? Yeah, solve for y, right? Get y by itself. Isolate y. Could we use Desmos to answer this? All right, so if we can, how can we do that? How can we use Desmos to answer 13? Anybody got any questions? Okay, type in the question as it is, correct. Then what will we do? Well, there's only one equation, so it's not going to necessarily, you don't have two, so it's not going to intersect anywhere. So what could we do? Anybody got any ideas? All right, I agree. We should definitely type in the question. But then what? All right, so there's our graph. I'm going to zoom out a little bit just so we can see a little bit better. But now what do we do? All right, so I'm gonna make it easy for you, right? We got 4 answer choices here. Type in each answer choice, and whichever one is the exact same line, right? We've already done how to solve this by hand last week. You would subtract 2x on both sides, then divide by a -1 to get y by itself. But I'm just showing you how to do it in Desmos. All right, so I'm gonna type that top. I'm gonna type in A. Okay, is that the exact same line? Yes or no? No, it's not. Those are 2 completely different lines. So therefore, that is not the answer. Okay? So I'm going to type in B. All right, is that the exact same line? No, and remember, you can use these colors over here to kind of know what the original graph was. Like our original graph is graphed in black. Then A was in red, B was in blue. All right, so let's type in C. All right, is that the exact same line? Yes. Remember, this right here was just a black line, and then we just graphed C, and it is the exact same line. Like, you can even delete these other 2 that you know aren't it. Okay? You see I got 2 graphs here? They are both, they're directly on top of one another. That is the answer. I'm just trying to give you an alternative to doing it by hand. We good? Are there any questions? Like if you're not sure, you can kind of delete it. You see how I didn't finish typing it in? It's the exact same one. All right, let's move on then. Okay, now, 14. This is, remember, this is called a literal equation. And it asks for us to solve for r. You cannot do this in Desmos. We have to know how to isolate r here. So what would we do to get r by itself? Correct. Divide both sides by t because this is multiplication. That says r times t. So divide both sides by t. So what's the correct answer? Correct. It is C. The answer is C. Questions? Yes, it does matter, all right? Because you got to divide both sides by t. So it would be d divided by t. All right, now, this next problem, number 15, says which table does not represent a function. So how can I know that again? How can I know a table is not a function? Correct. When the x repeats, like when you look at the x column, if the same number is showing, that means it's not a function. All of the x values have to be a different number for it to be a function. Okay? So is A a function? Yes, it is. All these numbers are different, right? All right, let's look at B. Is B a function? Yes, it is. All right, what about C? Yes, it is a function. And D? No. Not a function. You see how these ones repeat. Everybody good on 15? Okay? Now 16. Which graph is a function? So what do we need to do again? Yeah, use your pencil. And what's that test called? Use the vertical line test, all right? And when you create a vertical line with your pencil, how many times can the graph go through? It can only go through once. If it only goes through once, then it is a function, okay? So do we think A is a function then? Yes, A is a function, okay? Now I'm going to explain why the other one. So A is the correct answer because if you create a vertical line, the graph will only go through your pencil one time. All right, now if you look at B, you see how both of these dots are directly over each other? If we create a vertical line here, both of these dots would go through our vertical line twice, correct? And on C, this oval, if you create a vertical line here, the graph will go through your line twice, which makes it not a function. Same thing here on D. Any questions? Okay. Now, on number 17, use the table. Find the output for f of 12. What does this f of 12 mean? Like, what does that 12 right here represent? Yeah, that means that's what x is. Remember, if there's ever a number in the parentheses right there, that's what x equals. So x equals 12. So you're going to go on the table to where x is 12. Right here, right? So what's our answer? 0, correct? Y equals 0. The answer is D. Everybody good on that? All right, let's look at 18 then. Okay, so on number 18, use the graph shown. What is the value, or excuse me, the x value of this function when y equals -4? Okay, so how can I figure this out? Anybody remember? It says, what is the x value of this function when y equals 4? I have a graph, so where should I start at? Yeah, correct, where y equals -4. So y equals -4 right here, and I know that's kind of, I'll make this a little bit bigger. Okay, y equals -4 right there, correct? Okay, so what do I need to do after I go where y equals -4? Not rise over run. Just go over to where the graph is. Like the graph is directly to your right, correct? So that's our point. So what is the x value when we're right here? Yeah, +1, right? So once again, it says y equals -4. So go where y is -4 because this is the y-axis. And just go to where you hit the graph. Where I hit the graph, right there. You're either just going to go left or right. It's kind of like you're going horizontal until you hit the graph. Okay, and there you just look and you look for the x value. X is 1. All right, so that would be C. Yeah, so number 19 is exactly like 18, but obviously our graph's just different. There's a bunch of dots everywhere, but we just said on a couple questions ago that when I have a number right here in the parentheses, this is what? That's x. So x equals 4. So all you have to do is go on the x-axis. This is the x-axis. Go to 4. 4 is right there, right? And I'm either going to go up or down. I'm just going to go where I hit the point. So if I go up, it's going to be right there, right? And y equals 2. That's the answer. So the answer is B. Questions?